Ha, yes. All right. So, welcome to Take Your Base. I'm your host, Flav Oriana. This is episode 12, if I'm not mistaken. All right, guys. So, look, we are now in free agency, and there's been a lot of talks right now. A lot of talks about Francisco Lindor, him being traded before opening day. The Cleveland Indians are really engaging talks on trading Francisco Lindor. So this is really, really big just because Francisco Lindor, he's 26 years old. This guy is a generational talent. This guy is the best shortstop in all of baseball. Doesn't matter if it was American League or National League. This guy is the best shortstop in the majors. Now, Cleveland Indians, they've been notoriously cheap throughout the years. I mean, these guys ended up trading away Mike Clevenger, traded away, Trevor Bauer. I mean, they still have Shane Bieber, one of the top pitchers in the league, but incredibly cheap, and they feel like they're not going to be able to re-sign Francisco Lindor. Look, their loss is everyone else's gain at this point because whoever lands Francisco Lindor, it's going to be a huge change at that shortstop position. They're gonna upgrade it immensely. So there's been a couple of teams that have been in talks of trying to acquire Francisco Lindor, and two of those teams reside from one city, and that one city is best city in the world, New York City. So you know what two teams are there. You got the team in the Bronx, the team that wears those 1940s prison uniforms, known as the New York Yankees. I'm just playing, guys. Yes, the Yankees. The Yankees are one of those teams that are in trade talks with trying to acquire Francisco Lindor, and the team that now has a new owner, the New York Mets. They're the second team that are in talks of trying to acquire Francisco Lindor. Now, both teams have tons of options right now, a lot of things to offer towards Cleveland. You know, Cleveland's gonna want some type of a big name. Cleveland's also gonna want some type of draft picks or prospects. You know, if I'm the Yankees, you know, I already know you guys are going to have to offer up Clint Frazier. Reason why I say that, he's not getting a lot of playing time. You know, with the Yankees at the major league level. So he's going to be offered in. This guy is a good player. For whatever reason, doesn't find any outfield time. Doesn't find any type of way of making the lineup. That's just because the Yankees are loaded. But Clint Frazier might have to be offered up. Do the Yankees offer up Gleyber Torres? Do they offer up Gleyber Torres to try to acquire Francisco Lindor? Reason why I say that is just because Gleyber Torres, in my opinion, this guy's like a 4-star level player. 4-star level player is the second highest. I mean, there's 5 out of 5, and there's a 4-star level player. Gleyber Torres looks like he will be always all-star level, you know, one of the top tier all-star level players. I just don't see him being an MVP. But do you offer Clint Frazier and Gleyber Torres along with a couple of maybe like 1 or 2 prospects for Francisco Lindor? That might be enough to have the Cleveland Indians salvage, you know, drool over the idea of having, 2, you know, high-level players that you can build off of, along having Shane Bieber on that roster. Or do you look at the Mets and see what they have to offer? I mean, there's rumors that the Mets, might have to offer up Pete Alonso. That's crazy to even think that you would have to offer up Pete Alonso, a guy who ended up smacking about 52 home runs, the year before. Didn't have so much of a good season this past year, due to it being a shortened season. But it is crazy to think that the Mets would even offer up Pete Alonso. This would be like the most Mets thing ever. Offer up one of your best prospects, one of your best players on that team to acquire another great. It just doesn't make any sense at that point. Honestly, I think for the Mets, you might have to cut ties with Dominic Smith. You might have to cut ties with maybe a JD Davis or something like that. And, throw in, some type of a mid-tier prospect. I don't know. I mean, just to offer Pete Alonso. I know if it came down to offering up Pete Alonso or Dominic Smith, I know the majority would favor in trying to trade Dominic Smith. Dominic Smith has having a hard time trying to get onto the field. He's more of, you'll be you would be either left field or right field or first base, and naturally his best position is first base. But you have Pete Alonso there, so do you offer him up? You can't touch Michael Conforto. In my opinion, that guy has to be considered as an untouchable. You can't offer up. Actually, you probably could offer up a Jeff McNeil. How about this? Best offer that the Mets can try to offer up. Give up Ahmed Rosario. As much as I wouldn't want to do something like that, you see what this guy has been able to do the last 3 years. You offer him up, shortstop for shortstop. Put it on Ahmed Rosario, Dominic Smith, and just for the heck of it, throw Steven Matz. I mean, nobody that's a fan of the Mets really cares for Steven Matz at this point. Steven Matz has been a disaster. This guy, in my opinion, reminds you of like Oliver Perez. If anybody remembers Oliver Perez. Oliver Perez was a very shaky left-hander, but at least he kind of rose to the occasion every once in a while. Steven Matz, I don't get that just from him anymore. I mean, I feel like his best years were 2015, 2016, and after that ended up dwindling down. I would offer Ahmed Rosario, Dominic Smith, and Steven Matz for Francisco Lindor, and if you had to throw in a prospect in there, fine, throw like a B level prospect, maybe a C level prospect, just to get that done. As for the Yankees, I mean, you can offer up Gleyber Torres and Clint Frazier. I don't know who else would you be able to offer. I mean, it seems like the Indians do want a lot, but Gleyber Torres is an outstanding player. It's something to look forward to. If I'm a Cleveland Indians fan, you can make that. This guy has a couple of years on his contract. Same thing as Clint Frazier. But whoever gets Francisco Lindor has to make sure that they are ready to know that he might be able to walk out that door. This guy wants money. And because we are in this pandemic, the fact that a lot of teams are cutting back their salary, this guy's looking for a big payday. I mean, he'll get it. He's one of those people. He's one of those players that are definitely going to get their money one way or somehow, But if I'm Francisco Lindor, if I had to pick a team that I want to go for, I'm going to the New York Mets. Reason why I'm going to the New York Mets, they got a new owner. This guy is the richest owner in all of baseball. This guy has deep pockets. Plus, that team has plenty of options to go for. They can acquire a George Springer through free agency. They could acquire a Trevor Bauer. They could acquire a Yu Darvish, whatever, a JT Realmuto. They could acquire all those players and still acquire Francisco Lindor, and that team could be like an instant title contender. As for the Yankees, they could give up some pieces and be title contenders, but they got to deal with Houston. They got to deal with Tampa, and Tampa has had their number. They have owned them for, I don't know, the last like 2 or 3 years. And Houston looks like a problem, even without their cheating scandal. Who knows if they're cheating or not? that team looks like a problem with Jose Altuve and Carlos Correa. Those two rise to the occasion during postseason play. And then you also have Oakland, who's a problem too. They're always consistently winning 90 games. For the National League, you got the Dodgers. Sure, you have the Braves, but the Braves and the Mets. I mean, you give now an owner the option of rebuilding that team maybe through free agency. I mean, I could see it going, a totally different direction at that point. And outside of the Braves, I don't see anybody else being competitive. Yeah, maybe the San Diego Padres, but that's about it. Nobody from the Central. I mean, I definitely don't see anybody from the Cubs. I mean, I don't see like the Cubs or, I don't know, maybe the Reds being competitive. If the Reds don't get Trevor Bauer back, I don't see them being competitive. So, yeah. So, I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't know what's going to happen with Francisco Lindor. I would say by January, we should have a better idea, where he's going to be at, or by then he should definitely be traded. But as far as everything else, I mean, look, what will the Mets do during free agency? Well, they definitely need to address their position at catcher, because Wilson Ramos is not doing it at all. This guy has a very low percentage at getting strikes being called. It's not a good defensive catcher. He at this point is more resorted towards a DH position. He's not a fast runner. Runs extremely slow, and doesn't throw out many runners. When they're trying to steal base. So they need to address that. They definitely need to address their starting pitching and their bullpen too. So why don't we look at it? You have there's two catchers to take in consideration. One, everybody's saying JC Realmuto. I definitely try to offer JC Realmuto as much money as possible. Hopefully he takes it. I know he's not been inclined on wanting to play for New York for whatever reason. But you have JC Realmuto as an option. If you can't get JC Realmuto as to come to New York for whatever reason, there's also James McCann. James McCann looks like he wants to be a starter. He was a backup to Yasmani Grandal, playing for the White Sox. Back in 2019, he had a good stellar year. He was making a name for himself in that White Sox lineup. But he looks like he's going to walk away from Chicago. If you can't get JC Realmuto, definitely get James McCann. This guy has some pop in his bat. This guy could throw runners out. He is, in my opinion, a top 10 catcher in baseball. There's somebody to look for in that. As for starting pitching, there is the Trevor Bauers of the world. He had one of his best seasons. I know you can see 60 games, pitch 10 games out of those 60, maybe 12. Bauer is definitely going to be looked at by plenty of teams. I mean, you have the Giants looking at him, the Reds, with the Phillies, the Red Sox, you name it, the Mets. Bauer looks like he, I don't know if he's going to go for just that 1-year contract that he was talking about, a while back, saying that would be great to just play on a 1-year contract so he can maximize, his money. Or will he go for something a little bit long term? My opinion, if I'm Trevor Bauer, look, you could look at the Mets. You go to the Mets, you're pitching right behind Jacob deGrom. That's a good 1-2 punch combo right there. Gets you closer and closer onto getting possible to a World Series. You return back to the Reds. They're competitive. I mean, you got Sonny Gray there too. You got bats like Joey Votto. You have that guy, Aquino, the guy that calls himself the Punisher. I think he's in right field. You got him. And they got what's his name? The guy from Milwaukee that ended up going there. He played for the Royals too. Mike Moustakas. You got Nicholas Castellanos there too. You'll be respectable. You'll be competitive in the NL Central. Be competing for a playoff spot. You could possibly go to the Giants. Go for go back to California. I know he's a California kid. he could pitch in a pitcher's ballpark alongside with Johnny Cueto, but is that really appeasing? No. Could go to Boston. If he goes to Boston, this guy can make so much money right there from endorsements. I mean, Boston, is one of those franchises that's been there for for a really, really long time. He goes to Boston, pitches for a team like that. Historically, everybody's gonna know who he is. Pitching in the American League East is very competitive. It's always gonna get national games being broadcasted. He's gonna get high level attention there, or he could come to the New York Mets. Like I said, pitch behind Jacob deGrom. They're maybe like 1 or 2 pieces away from competing for a World Series title. There's that option. The Mets, if they can get Trevor Bauer, they could definitely go after Yu Darvish. I'm not in favor of Yu Darvish. I don't even think the Mets are trying to really consider him. There's him that you can go after. As for the bullpen, Brad Hand looks like the top relief pitcher that's going to be trying to get acquired through baseball. I know the Phillies, they need some bullpen help. The Braves might try to scoop him up. The Mets definitely need to get him. The Red Sox are gonna try to acquire him. I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers try to acquire Brad Hand. Brad Hand is gonna get a boatload of money. Look, the fact that Cleveland didn't want to pay him $10 million. Look, that is a bargain compared to what he's worth. Brad Hand's gonna make a ridiculous amount of money right now. So if I'm the New York Mets, I offer this guy like a 3-year deal, maybe a 4-year deal. I wouldn't really be pushing for a 4-year deal. Offer him a 3-year deal worth $13.5 million right there. $3.5 million more than he would have been making in Cleveland. Plus, you give this guy insurance, knowing that he's going to be with the team for at least 3 years. So, you give this guy a 3-year deal, $13.5 million per year. You're looking at that contract right there is $40.5 million through 3 years. I mean, that's a lot of money for a relief pitcher. If the Mets can't acquire Brad Hand, there is Darren O'Day. Darren O'Day did pitch for the Mets at one point in his career. He started off with the Mets. If not, Brad Hand, you got Diekman from the Oakland A's. He's somebody to look forward to. Look, the Mets have tons of options. I mean, the Mets could kind of build up their whole roster through free agency, something that the Yankees have done in their history. So there's that option right there. I don't know what Steve Cohen's going to be able to do during free agency. Is he going to be aggressive? Is he going to see how this goes? In my opinion, the fact that he is a lifelong Mets fan, I think he's going to want to win immediately. Is he going to be like George Steinbrenner, how he was when he was running the Yankees? Maybe. But this guy cleaned house. On Friday. Let Brody Van Wagenen go. Let let everybody from analytics go. Let everybody from that scouting department go. Let Omar Minaya go, who's been around with that franchise for decades. So, I don't know. I mean, it all matters what happens with that front office. I'm very excited to see if he's going to be aggressive or not. If he is aggressive and he tries to scoop up your George Springers, your Trevor Bauers, your JC Realmutos, your Brad Hands, right there, the Mets are right in contention with the Dodgers. Because you have a J.D. Davis, you have a Michael Conforto, you have a Pete Alonso, you have a Jacob deGrom, and even better, if you try to trade for a Francisco Lindor without trying to give up Pete Alonso and Michael Conforto, even better right there. You're right there in title contention, and that'll be better. That'll be so sweet, for the Mets, just because we as Met fans have not tasted a title since 1986. I wasn't even born at that time. I don't even think my parents even met, in 1986. But yeah, I really wonder what Steve Cohen's going to be able to do. Francisco Lindor, it's going to come down to, I think, the Yankees and the Mets where he's going to land in. I don't see him going anywhere else. If he goes to any other team, I'd be heavily surprised. But it seems like the Cleveland Indians are very sure that they are gonna try to trade him before the start of the opening day season. But that's it for Take Your Base. So look, I'll keep you guys notified anything that happens with Francisco Lindor through Twitter. See anything, if any transactions. I know the Mets ended up acquiring 2 players off of waivers. They announced them last week. So yeah, any other news that's gonna be happening, I'll announce it to you guys on Twitter, and I'll probably drop a video in the next couple of days or so. Until then, guys, I'll talk to you guys later. I'm Flavo Rihanna. This is Take Your Base, and thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and share this with anybody that's heavily interested into my baseball talks. All right, guys, you guys have a good one, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace, guys.